Okay, so this video is about how to repair one of these Xbox wireless controllers. The big problem I've seen with these is this button right here, which is your RB, and the other one is this one over here, your LB button. They tend to fail first on these. They get a lot of activity. I know my kid uses this for Fortnite, and this button just gets a lot of use. And the solution for this is actually quite simple. It's actually because of a design issue. And I'll show you on this one. We want to take it apart, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube about how to take these things apart. But what you've got is you've got a couple small switches. You've got one here, you've got one right here. And these actuate by a piece of plastic when you push in on these buttons, and it pushes in on the top of the switch. The switch is a switch just like this. Small micro switch, SPST, and it just pushes in and clicks. All right. There's two back legs on it that are used for mounting, and then the two front are actually the switch contacts. And the way it's mounted inside this is this way, and like this. What happens is when you push back on this button and you push it forcefully, quite hard, there's really nothing to stop it from going too far back. And what happens is it ends up pushing the actual switch and moving it slightly. And you can sort of see that little bit of movement as I'm pushing this in. It's rocking back. So what that causes in electronics speak is a solder donut. And that's basically a stress fracture around the solder connection. So it's really hard to see with this, but with a magnifying glass it's actually quite easy to see. You probably won't be able to see it in this video here. But here's your two mounting legs on the back side. And on the front are the two contacts for the switch. Same for over here. The mounting on the back and the contacts on the front. So that's basically just like this. Mount in the back, snaps in when they assemble it, and then they solder all four of them to keep them in place. But like I said, the stress of pushing that in and that rocking will cause what's called a donut to occur on the actual contact. And so what you need to do is get a soldering iron and just reflow the solder on these four places. The two back mounts, and then the two connections on the front. Now, if you were able to zoom in here, which I can't do with this camera, you'd see there's a small circle around the actual contact, and that's called the donut. That's where it's actually stress fractured around the connection. And then when this button's pressed, sometimes it makes contact, sometimes it doesn't. And I know that gets quite frustrating, and that's the reason why a lot of these controllers get thrown away. Many of the ones we have, that's all we've had to do to fix it. And once you correct that problem, you'll get a lot more life out of it before you have to do it again. And eventually you probably will have to do it again. Now, a little bit of advice. When you're soldering these, you can put a little extra solder on. This is flowed basically at the factory with a machine. And it flows solder, and it's a very even application of solder. What was interesting is on the back of this one here, it's been flowed before. So this probably went through rework at the factory, and I saw that there really wasn't a lot of solder on that back mounting pin, and somebody by hand applied more solder. So what you do is just by hand apply more solder to all four of these, flow them nicely, put a little bit extra solder on there than you typically would. It'll give a little extra strength, but you're not going to be able to stop it from cracking in the future at some point just because of that stress, rocking it back and forth so many times. Thousands and thousands of times, like a kid does, or whoever's using it, it's going to crack. But you might get a little more life out of it after you rework it. So that's it. I hope this helps. Give it a shot, and I'm sure you will see that it works. All right, thank you for your time. Bye-bye. All right, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.